As I'm sure you're probably aware if you're watching this video, Five Nights at Freddy's has countless unsolved mysteries. Who did the bite of 87? What is even going on in Midnight Motorist? How has the Mimic existed since before basically everything we know in the timeline? I have an answer to the last one. The Mimic is just a catch-all retcon tool for Steelwool after the disastrous story that was Security Breach. Anyways, the beauty of Five Nights at Freddy's is how vague its story is. And while that can and does lead to problems, I made a whole video on just that, it also leads to a lot of possibilities with how the lore can go. Today, I want to dive into a theory about the early timeline of the series, more specifically about how exactly Fredbear's Family Diner came to be. Strap in, theorists, and let's get into the origins of Fredbear's Family Diner. So where exactly does our story begin? I mean, for this theory, we have to figure out the earliest point in the timeline of FNAF. And it's starting much sooner than you might expect. We're going back, not to the 70s, not even the 60s, no. We are going all the way back to the 1920s. Now, obviously, William Afton, and by extension, Fredbear's Family Diner, was not around in the 20s. However, William's parents were. I want to talk about William's father specifically, and while you could go with his mother for this theory, I'll explain why I picked his dad later. Anyways, it's the 20s, which means the economy is booming. A young Mr. Afton, let's just call him Bob to avoid confusion, decides to be an entrepreneur and starts a little entertainment show called Fredbear Singin' Show. This act features a mascot costume of none other than Fredbear, eventually introducing people to Spring Bonnie later. Bob, with his newfound show, travels the country, running it anywhere he can. Eventually, he meets a young woman, and in the early 40s, they give birth to none other than the man behind the slaughter and name him William. He is a smart kid, obsessed with his father's show and the inner workings of everything. He goes through his childhood wanting to expand on his dad's business and help however he can. Through his teenage years, he works for his father whenever he's not at school. By the mid-60s, big companies like Disney begin using these new machines in their shows. These, of course, are animatronics. William, now in his early 20s, gets his dream opportunity. This was the best thing possible in his mind. His dad decided to retire and pass down Fredbear Singin' Show. William had gotten his dream to run his own show, and with the money really starting to roll in, he started to work on something that would transform the entire industry, something that would absolutely destroy those big companies and put his company on top. He works hard for a few years until he thinks he finally gets it right. In the late 60s, he finalized the design. He called this new invention Springlock suits, and this was revolutionary for the industry. Being able to have just one suit as an animatronic and a mascot would surely be amazing. Other companies are not so sure though. Afton wanted to sell the rights to use Springlock suits to other companies for massive amounts of money, but they wouldn't buy. Many deemed the suits too dangerous to use. I guess hindsight is 2020. They weren't a complete failure for Afton though. He used them safely in Fredbear Singin' Show for a while. He runs Fredbear's relatively successful for a couple of years, then a new opportunity opens up. An opportunity so golden, he just had to take it. He couldn't resist. Before I continue, you may notice something. This video feels far more like I'm telling a story than making a theory, and well, I kinda am. None of what I said so far is ever confirmed in any of the games, books, or the movie. This is what makes theorizing about FNAF so hard in the first place. The story I've just told is crucial for determining the origin of Fredbear's, as it didn't just pop up out of nowhere. I'm taking this one poster of Fredbear's Singin' Show and creating a narrative that matches it. and fits into the current understanding of FNAF lore. This is just a theory, and in no way do I think it's perfect. With that being said, this story helps build on the second part of this video and gives early FNAF a satisfying basic timeline of events. It also ties into future things that happen at Afton, so that's why I made the start the way I did. With that out of the way, let's get into some stuff that I have evidence for. This so-called golden opportunity that Afton stumbles upon is none other than the new local fall fest of Hurricane, Utah. Starting in 1970, this would be a yearly circus type event in which shows could sign up to have the chance to perform at. He immediately applied for this show and his application gets accepted. This was it. It was his big breakthrough to really get Fredbear's on the map. And well, it does amazing. His shows become the main attraction of Fall Fest. They do that well. And for a few years, that's how it went. That was, of course, until Afton wanted more. He's a greedy guy after all, and now having a wife and a couple of kids he needs to take care of, he needed to expand. The problem is, well, he's just not that good of a businessman. Luckily, he is performing at this large event with many, many people and performers, and it's here where he meets his new business partner. A little girl, not his business partner, named Charlotte sees Fredbear's show and tells her dad about it because she likes it that much. This is where Henry comes in. He runs a little act he calls the Mediocre Melodies, using, let's just say, not the most advanced animatronics. Combining the smarts of Henry on the business side and the state-of-the-art animatronic and spring-lock designs of William Afton, they combine both their companies to create one bigger company, now infamous, known as none other than Fazbear Entertainment. With the combination of money and smarts, they now had the power to do more, and with William's characters being so popular, they decided to open up Fredbear's Family Diner. That, my friends, is how Fredbear's came to be. This deal, of course, also led to other marketing stuff like Fredbear and Friends on Tour, which is the origins of the main four animatronics, and literally everything caused in the series. So why did I decide to go with Afton's dad owning Fredbear's Singing Show before Afton? I feel it somewhat relates to Afton's relationship with his son Michael. They were clearly close in some way before everything happened anyways, and that mirrors the relationship that I believe Afton had with his dad. That's why I decided to go with Afton's dad owning Fredbear's show, because it's a parallel of sorts to the more modernish stuff in FNAF. Now, obviously there's a larger discussion to be had here, but I just want to put this out there, this theory of the earliest origins of FNAF and how Fredbear's Singing Show and eventually Fredbear's Diner and eventually Fazbear Entertainment comes to be. I think it's a pretty good wrap up that adds a satisfying little beginning to the story of, everything. This whole story that I just told over the course of this video is what I consider to be the first era or story arc of Five Nights at Freddy's. I think there's at least 4 of these. The first one I'm calling the origins of Fazbear Entertainment. I'm sure you still have some questions for me. A big one probably being, where does Jackie and more importantly, the Mimic fit into all of this? I want to make another video about this, as I think I have enough to say for a whole different video, and this would fit into the second era of my interpretation of the lore. Also, to make the Mimic video and everything, I want to wait for Secret of the Mimic to come out because that's going to be relatively soon, and I don't want to make a video that's outdated in like 2 months. So expect to see that sometime later this year. I am in the very long and grueling process of creating a full FNAF timeline, and this video is just part of that process for me. Think of it as a part one of sorts because I do want to make more of these going into every single bit of FNAF lore all the way up till the modern era. Remember that this is all just my theory and a result of trying to make up a story where we really don't have anything yet. I'm hoping that Secret of the Mimic can build on this early period in the FNAF timeline, even if it proves me wrong. I'd much rather have answers to put there than have to guess like I did in this video. If you enjoyed, be sure to like the video and subscribe for more original Five Nights at Freddy's content. Thank you for all the recent support, by the way. This is the first video I'm writing after I hit 1,000 subs, so again, thank you. Become a member if you'd like to support me more, and thanks for watching. I'll see you all next week where we dive into the world of Five Nights at Freddy's U2's merch. Goodbye, superstars.